family, and welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Wellness Podcast. I am always so grateful to be with you, but I'm even more excited today because I have one of my good friends on the show here, and she is here to drop all kinds of knowledge on you guys about something called human design, right? And you're probably like, what in the world is that? Okay, we're going to explain it just a little bit in just a little bit. But before we get to that part, y'all know how we do over here. We always start our episodes with our 30 seconds of gratitude, and true to form, let our guest begin first. Erin, bless us with your gratitude this morning.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you said this. So honestly, I am grateful to be working from home. I'm grateful. Do I only pick one, or can I just roll for a few seconds?
Roll with it. Roll with it.
Because I've been really practicing and journaling this. I'm grateful that I get to express myself, that I am a free Black woman, that I am able to touch and inspire and to work with people through kind of their insecurities with marketing. And it just feels, I've never felt so much in alignment. I'm so grateful to be safe, to not be in a toxic relationship. I am grateful to be able to design whatever lifestyle I want from this point, even at 33, right? Life is not over in your 30s. I feel like it's just beginning. This is the redemption tour. And I'm grateful to have a deep connection spiritually, and just my faith is so strong, and I'm just grateful. So I'm glad you asked me that question. I'm deeply in gratitude these days.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I definitely understand that space because I too am in a space of deep, deep gratitude. You know, I've been practicing daily gratitude since 2021, late 2021, and it positively changed my life. And so today I am so grateful for healing. As many of you know, I have been grieving the loss of my beloved grandmother and my auntie, as well as a cousin of mine. We lost 3 family members in the course of about 5 months, and it really hit our family hard. However, I am so grateful for the space of healing that I am in. Even though I do revisit, that deep grief some days, but for the most part, I am definitely continuously healing. And as I've said on here, this is my healing girl summer, y'all. And so if y'all follow me on social media, y'all see I am outside.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
And so I'm just going to leave it with that because that is paramount for me right now. But y'all know that was more than 30 seconds, but y'all know how I say over here, you can never be grateful enough. So you can sit around and give gratitude for 30 minutes if that's what you want to do. It'll change your life, whatever works for you. Now, y'all, let's get into this episode again. My good friend, Erin Alexander, she is the CEO of Melanin Marketing. She is also the host of Melanin Money, and she specializes in the ultimate branding desires experience. So we're not just talking about pretty colors and pretty captions and slogans. She's talking about an overall experience for your business, and she infuses it with human design to help your brand soar to new heights. So today she's going to talk to us all about branding and human design and how she puts that in there. So Erin, welcome to the show. I'm so glad we finally got to do this, girl.
Yes. And today it's divine. It's after my birthday, and everything just feels like I'm rippling with excitement. I can't even put into words. But yes, I'm super excited to share space with you.
Okay, so share a little bit about yourself with the audience. Like, what was your childhood like?
Yeah. So my childhood was very much, for people that are listening, I'm a Black woman. You may not be able to tell by my voice, so I wanted to make that clear. And so I grew up in the suburbs, predominantly white, suburban town, smallest town in the smallest state of Rhode Island. And so what that comes with is sometimes a lot of settling. People get very comfortable in small towns. And that's no shade, it's just the reality. I was talking to my mom about it. But for me, I feel like I come from two people who left their hometown. My dad came from the country. My mom came from, more of an urban setting, and they wanted more. So they left. My dad went to the Navy, traveled around the world, and my mom went to North Carolina for school. And then she came to Rhode Island, and didn't know anyone. And so her faith in God is so strong, because when you're out there with other people's children and all you have is a dream, the clothes on your back, and faith, you get very close to your higher power, because you really need this to work, being the first to college, right, in your family. So anyways, coming from that background, but also growing up in a small town, I always felt like there was something more. There was something more. There's something more. And then life happens, and people are like, school is the safe way. Struggled through school, and I thought I wasn't intelligent, but it really was that I'm a projector in human design, which we'll get to. So we have to be activated. We can't just do things to do things. We need to feel joy in our work. We need to feel a deep purpose to be able to exist in this world and be happy. And so, I struggled in school, failed out, tested back in. I was more focused on the partying and boys at that time. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate. My 20s were very chaotic. So I tested back in, got into the mental health field that activated me at the time. I spent 7 years in the mental health field after graduating, and started a podcast. I started a podcast interviewing other entrepreneurs, and that led to radio. One of my assignments was with Brown University, which was so dope and just came out so divinely, like out of nowhere. But in 2020, I felt a shift. I was tired of interviewing other entrepreneurs. I wanted to be the entrepreneur being interviewed. I wanted to go through the trenches. I wanted to feel how they felt. I wanted to work from home. I was tired of clocking in and clocking out. I wanted a schedule that was really built around my mental health. And so when my father passed in 2020 in August, I left and started my business at that point, maybe a month prior to that. I decided I wanted to just change my life. I was tired of settling. Even though I had all these dreams, I hadn't really actualized them. I'd done the podcast did great, but I wasn't really reaching. I wasn't really going for it. I was still flying under the radar, and maybe people listening can completely relate. I was still flying under the radar, still kind of playing it safe. And so, left my job. Like I said, I walked away from a very toxic marriage. And when my mom said she was moving to Maryland, I was like, let's go. Like, I never went to school out of state. I've been sitting on all of these gifts, and I'm hanging around girls online that are really reaching for it. And that just amplifies you when you're like, I am not crazy. My dreams are real. My dreams will be fulfilled in this lifetime, and I deserve it. And so does everybody that gets to be in my aura. They deserve to see a Black woman actualize her dreams, including my future children. So, that's really what kind of led me to marketing. I love the freedom of marketing and branding. I love helping people find their voice. I actually just made a post on Threads. This might date this episode. That I love, because I just got out of session with someone yesterday. I love confronting people's insecurities and inner children in session, because that's what comes up with branding and marketing. Your inner child comes out and says, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to. And it's really not about the reels, and it's really not about social media. It's bigger than social media. A lot of times it's been lingering, and it showed up in every aspect, every relationship, every friendship, everything that you've done. This fear of me breaking through and what's on the other side. Yeah. What if people start coming to me and paying me? What if I'm able to sit at my house and enjoy my life and not be stressed out? What if me and my partner are able to see each other and go on date nights and take vacations because we have the money? What does that mean? What does that happiness include? Am I allowed to be that person. And I do it with love. I'm not a hardcore confronter. I do it I feel, a gentle way, a loving and supportive way. But I want more for you, sis. I want the best for you. I want you to have everything that you desire. So, um, with that, human design really allows me to unlock that for people. It allows me to see the insecurities in someone's chart, but in someone's life, as well as their strengths, so that we can position your brand around what lights you up, what you can't stop talking about, what you can't stop researching on YouTube and Google. That's what these packages should be sold off of, is the joy, because it's really just going to have a ripple effect online. But that's a little bit about my story, being a Black woman who fell in love with being invisible and just getting out there and challenging myself and challenging my insecurities and just really going for it,
Yeah, I do. And I love how you touched on when you said, that's what activated me at the time. And I love that part because people don't understand often that there are different seasons for everything. And just because you start
Yes.
here doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to be your journey the whole way through.
Yes.
I tell my kids all the time that it's like an elevator. You take it as far up as you can. And then when it's time for you to get off that elevator and get onto the next elevator, you have to move. You can't keep trying to take that same elevator upward if that's not the path that has been designed for you. So tell me, at what point, what made you decide to go into mental health initially? And at what point did you realize this no longer activates me?
I think that's one of my favorite questions. So back in college, where I said I had failed out, a lot of mental health was coming up for me, but I had never even heard of mental health, at that point. At 18, I mean, I had a family therapist at 16, but it was more of like, he was telling me it was all my fault. All the family problems was all my fault. And no one else had to really have any type of accountability. So I hated therapy. But I was doing so poorly in school and I was struggling so hard that I ended up seeing another therapist begrudgingly. And it was actually a man, and I actually had a huge breakthrough that if I want to feel better, I have to go through. I can't find these people I can't have these guys and these friends and these peoples and these places and things that distract me from the fact that I'm hurting right now. And through that transformation, I saw the power of therapy, and I saw the power of so many people don't even know about what depression is, what anxiety is. They think that it's someone else's, that it's a racial thing, that only white people should go to, therapists, when we deeply need to, get that support as well. So that's how I fell in love with mental health, and I loved it. My clients and patients, I had different jobs throughout the 7 years, loved me. I would get promoted without even asking. People would be saying my names in rooms that I hadn't stepped in, and I loved that part. I loved working in the mental health field, but I just felt, especially with 2020 in the beginning, very quick story. I went to Barbados January of 2020 before everything fell apart, right? Those of us that traveled in the beginning, so glad I traveled in the beginning, because you didn't know. And my mom was laughing. She was like, I was at doctor's appointments, and I know these doctors knew that I shouldn't be flying before, it was an announcement in March. Like, these doctors knew COVID was flying around. And she's like, they let us in our 70s get on these Southwest flights. They didn't even bat a lash. But anyways, we laugh about that all the time. Thank God they were safe. But anyways, I went to Barbados for New Year's Eve, and I had a blast. January 1st of 2020, I went down to a nearby beach, and I sat down. I laid there next to the lifeguard at the time, or the guy handling the chairs. Like, you pay him, and he's like, here's the chairs. And that's what he got paid to do. So that was the first thing of me being like, this is such a simple life. Like he
Yeah.
sits here in his swimsuit and he goes and takes money and brings the chairs out in the morning, but he'll give them umbrellas and stuff. And then he goes back. And then sometimes he goes and he washes off in the beautiful ocean, the beautiful Caribbean Ocean. And then there's a restaurant next door, so he can get that. There's a grocery store or a convenience store up the street. So if he needs anything from the convenience store, he can have his friend run up the hill to get it. I'm like, when I go back home, it's freezing cold. I have
Mm-hmm.
to wear business casual. I have people choosing white men over me when I'm overqualified. I have to
Mm.
shrink myself into this role when I'm bursting with creativity. So there was that. And then the second sign was that I saw the owners. He was like, oh, those are the owners. And I thought in my mind, because their kids were just running and playing, I'm like, they have a 5-star restaurant in one of the most famous islands in the Caribbean, because, you know, Rihanna, Barbados and everything. Barbados has grown exponentially over the years. And I started envisioning this narrative of they probably checked in very briefly on New Year's Eve, ate dinner because it's their restaurant. They can eat there anytime. They don't have to pay because they're the owners. And then they went about their night, and now they get to wash off their hangover in the Caribbean Ocean. And I was like, I could have a beachfront property. That's not exclusive to a white man.
Right.
I can have that too. And it really from that experience, I was just ready to go before COVID, but especially when COVID dropped, I was like, they're moving things around. We have to get tested, which was fine. But it was just the signs for me was like, Erin, go, just try it. Mental health isn't going anywhere. You can always come back to a job. It may not be this job, but you can come back. So that was really kind of my last straw. I was like, there are other people that have the life that I desire, and I'm finally ready to be bold. And I know that there are going to be pitfalls. There are going to be trials and tribulations, and I'm finally ready to go through that. I'm fine, you know. But yeah, I felt like I just felt like I was in a box, you know, in the mental health field, unfortunately. And I work with a lot of those clients now that are wanting a business
Oh,
is
wow.
they're like, they can't, because in mental health, people are coming to see you. So like you aren't there to be like, and then my dog and this man left me. It's not your time. You go to a
Yeah.
therapist to do that. But when people are there, they're taking up all your energy and it just, you bring it home, the trauma and everything and the stories and the stress. And I was just done. I felt like I can still be involved with mental health, but not on this level. I want to do it where I'm speaking on stages and I'm having workshops and I'm incorporating into my business. And I do. And I'm so happy that it's all come full circle. So
Yeah, it did. It did come full circle. It sounds like that you felt that pull and that calling. Now, the funny part that you said about COVID in January of 2020, quick little story.
yes.
My husband got really sick in January of 2020, and
Mm,
and the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Looking back, we now know that he had COVID.
right.
So that I found that really funny. And y'all, I'm gonna tell you something. If y'all have never been to the Caribbean, you must go.
You must.
Those crystal clear waters, that creamy white sand.
Yes.
Oh,
Life
it is.
changing.
It is. It will.
It
It'll
really
change how
is.
you look at everything.
It will. It will. Of like, why didn't I do this sooner? Like, why have I been waiting to do this? Why have I not been prioritizing some money to have this experience, you know, if
Mhm.
you can afford it?
And it's often timing because, I also like that you touched on the inner child for many of us. For many of us, the inner child is what is holding us back and we
Mm-hmm.
don't realize it.
Right.
And us as Black women in particular, there are so many different things that we see and that we witness and experience in our lives as we grow into women that it it is planting these little tiny seeds of doubt and of inferiority and not enoughness, to the point to where when we become adults, we don't feel like we can have that experience. We can have
Right.
that life that doesn't require us to go and punch somebody else's clock. I read a quote online the other day that says, if you don't build your dreams, you're going to be somewhere building somebody else's.
Literally.
And yes. And like, I came from cybersecurity, and it is male dominated, particularly white male dominated. And so I know that feeling of being dismissed and your ideas not being good enough coming from your mouth, but when
Right.
someone else hears it and then repeats it, then all of a
Right.
sudden it's the greatest thing they've ever heard. So I can
Yeah.
understand that feeling like a caged bird. That's the way I
Yes.
described it to my husband when I was in, that corporate 9 to 5 grind. It was like, listen, this ain't finna
It's
work too much longer.
it's infuriating. I actually just had this discussion with someone, and this is the power of calling someone in to help you with your brand. She was rolling through her entire resume, basically. I told her, tell me the stories that you would like to share online. And she basically read me the resume, which is the issue a lot of times. We're not used to expressing ourselves. So it's hard to be like, what is emotional about my story? We have just buried it, right? And so I almost had to wake that up in her of, you talked about white men being promoted over you and the mansplaining. That's infuriating. Remember how that feels. That is what is going to activate people on your timeline. We're so used to it, but remember that you have to embody that and feel that in your chest so that you can speak to a woman or a man, depending on your audience, that is going through that right now. If you just say, and he chose over me, they're going to be like, oh, well, they chose over me. No. It's infuriating, and you deserve more. So I think we definitely, with our inner child, I think that our inner child is scared, because there were times I didn't protect my inner child. I didn't. I didn't protect myself. I didn't show up for myself. I abandoned myself so many times in the past. So my inner child is like, okay, well, are you sure if I come out? Because your inner child comes with creativity. It comes with the purity of a child.
Yep.
Children are so intelligent, the way that they see the world, the way that their imagination is just limitless. And that's so much what we need to tap into now. But it's hard to access that inner child because we're so used to being told, oh, you're too much, too dramatic, too emotional, too this, your dreams are too big. And so your inner child is like, are you going to stand up for me this time? Because remember when they told you that you couldn't do it and you didn't do it? You didn't go for that promotion. And you really deserved that extra vacation. And you didn't stand up for us. And I wanted you to stand up for us when you were 15 or 17 or 21 or 25. And are you going to do it this time? Are you going to honor me? And so whenever I come up against a challenge, I do think of that scared little girl that is like, am I pretty enough? Am I valuable enough? Is what I have to say valuable enough? And I have to say yes. And I have to stand as the adult now and hold hands with my inner child and say, it's going to be okay. We're going to get this thing. I'm in the trenches here with you. We're going to get this thing. Believe in me. Trust me. I got us. So that's really the inner child work I've been working through. And hopefully that's helpful for people,
Yeah, but I also think that we aren't taught to protect that inner child, because as we grow, there are those that were supposed to protect that little girl or little boy, and they fell through. They didn't protect us the way we needed to be protected in the moment. And so then we start these feelings of, I'm not worthy to be protected, or I don't deserve this level of love and protection. And then we just kind of regurgitate that to ourselves, and we start treating ourselves in ways that are not kind and doesn't promote that positive, strong self-esteem of like, because there's a big difference to say, I can do anything that I set my mind to, and believing that thing. Like, you can say the words all day long, but if you don't really believe it, you're sending mixed signals to the universe, and the universe going to do the other thing that's in your head, because the universe like, well, You ain't
Yeah.
tell me what you wanted. So this is really what you're thinking. So,
Right.
the mind is such a powerful thing. And I think that people often dismiss that and don't
Hmm.
think about that little piece.
Right. I think you're 100% right. And this is why I feel like these interviews are so powerful. And for folks, if you need to run it back and play it again, like I'm telling you, I just was having this thought in bed yesterday about manifestation. So manifestation, I had an intellectual level of manifestation back in the day. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Like you speak it out and then like it's gonna come true. I didn't realize, similar to what you said, Karina, it's also about believing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the block. I can say I want to be a millionaire. The millions are not going to show up until I
No.
believe I deserve and I start acting like that person that deserves $1 million. If you don't feel you deserve to be successful in an area, but you're speaking it out of your mouth, like you said, it's going to go off of what you deeply think, how you
Yes.
deeply feel, because that's actually what's going to control your moves. Like if you feel, oh, I want a man that for the people manifesting the one, right? I want a man that takes me out and is respectful, but deep inside, the way that you speak to yourself
Mm-hmm.
is not reflective of what you're asking for, you're going to keep getting those people who mirror how you feel. That's why I feel like I can't even really be mad at my ex because he was a reflection of how I felt about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm doing the work, right? Now that I have time to do the work because I'm working from home, I have all the time in the world, right?
Yeah.
He is a direct reflection of how I felt about myself and how low my insecurity was, how I was dying to be valued by someone. My friends at the time, I have some good friends now from back in the day, but the majority were just there for the moment, there for the hot fun time of like,
Yep.
whatever, what does Erin have going on? Oh, she can go get into this event because she's doing radio. And so, you know, it's important when we're talking about our dreams to really start doing the work internally of why I'm saying this, but what do I really feel? And let me feel that in my body. Where did that come from? How deep is that? So because that's what gets you closer and closer to your dreams. I promise I'm literally on this journey and we all are. And I'm feeling the difference. I'm
Yes.
feeling the flow. The flow is happening now that I'm like, oh, I want this so bad. It's like, but I know I deserve it. So I know it's going to come right on time. So I'm going to keep doing what I need to do until there's more and more and more abundance over time,
Yeah.
you know?
And I tell my kids all the time, act as if. Act as
Yes.
if it's already yours, because when you
Yes.
begin to act it out, that changes how you move and the actions that you're taking to moving
Right.
toward said goal, whatever it is that you
Right.
are truly desiring, because it changes how you feel. It changes your posture. It changes, the way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to others. Act
Right.
as if. So
Mm-hmm.
now, through our talks, and you shared with me about your father's stage 4 cancer diagnosis and how
Mm-hmm.
devastating that loss was for you,
Yes.
how were you able to care for yourself and still run a new business? Because you said your business was
Yes.
brand new. So
Yeah,
how
it
were you
was.
able to care for yourself, like really love on you, do what you
Yeah.
needed to do, but still be able to grieve the way that you needed to, that was in a healthy way?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that I actually got a very valuable tool from a therapist at the time, I should say. Um, I knew I needed a therapist because I've hit rock bottom before. In college, I was kind of, talking about that a little bit. And so I know what works for me, and therapy works for me, at least in that beginning time, to make sure that not to say stay on the straight and narrow, but that I don't get too lost, that I have a line to reality and I don't completely spiral out of control, because I will. Um, and so what my therapist blessed me with, for the months that we worked together, she said it's really important at this moment that you take inventory throughout the day and you give yourself as immediately as you can what you need. If you're hungry, if you're tired, if you need to call a friend, if you need to stop working, it's very important on this grieving journey that you do not fly through the day and you don't know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what's going to be best for you. It's definitely going to be best for you if you are. And I had never, through all the different therapists, like I said, I'm 33 now. I've been in therapy since I was 16, on and off. I've never had that conversation with a therapist. And even though I am feeling stronger and better, quote unquote, with my grief journey, I still do it. If I'm hungry, I'm like, I'm hungry. Why am I finishing this email? Or sometimes it may be a quick thing that you need to do, but I need to prioritize myself. So I think that that's very important. I also live in his memory. He was in the Navy. He was a traveler. Him and my mom taught me travel. So I've been traveling since I left my job. And I just feel like he's here though. I deeply feel like he's here. And the gift, because the way that I feel is with death comes rebirth, right? And so I became reborn. I became energized. As devastated as I was, I became energized of, I don't want to just live. I don't want to just exist. I want to thrive. I want to do my dad left here on empty. When the minister read through my dad's eulogy and was like, he accomplished all of this in one lifetime. And that's not to say that I'm going to burn myself out, because I'm not a man. I can't necessarily do the things that men do. And, he was a Virgo and very much about ambition and different things like that. But I want to leave this world on empty. So those feelings, that self-awareness, that grace that I give myself is what keeps me going. But I've never had such a deep spiritual connection. I mean, I feel him. I mean, I'm hearing my name calling me out of sleep. I'm feeling spirits around me. I'm looking behind, like when you really get into the spiritual thing, I'm seeing a deer that I've never seen before, haven't seen it since in the time that I need it most. And I'm looking up the signs, like I'm seeing the butterflies and different things. And I know the signs that he's sending me. I know that he's proud. I feel his energy. And I also don't swing on the side of if I am not doing something that's aligned with God per se, or aligned with being this perfect, virtuous woman. I don't think, oh, my dad would be disappointed. I know that he loves me regardless. And I have to go through my experiences like he did. Right? Like he was a bad boy when he was younger. He was a ladies' man back in the day. He was tall, 6 feet plus, dark skinned man, Navy, my mom was like, ask him. I'm like, okay, all right, mom, I get it. He was a little playboy, respectable, very intelligent. I get it. But I live now. I'm very focused on anything that doesn't have to do with the goals, with my career, with my joy, with my family, my friends. It's not even a thing to me. Like drama with people, I'm like, goodbye. I do not have the emotional, like I'm not even gonna, you got it. If you feel like I was wrong, that's fine. You can go tell everybody, and I literally do not care. I'm in a space of joy. I'm in a space of focusing on what's important and building my legacy. My legacy will be filled with joy and people that love me and I love them, and just going for our goals. So those are kind of the different kind of concepts that I just, rattle through my brain. Some days I need to just stop. Sometimes I want to reflect on my dad. And the last thing I'll say, I know I said a lot, but the last thing I'll say that was really helpful for me through my grief journey was I journaled a lot. I wrote some poetry to my dad, and I can't wait to release a book, because I have all those journals and they're raw. It's raw emotion, like tears on the page of, these are the things I wish I said to you. And the fact that I have that documented, I can't wait to share with the world, because I know it will bless somebody. And I don't know. It's just taking it one day at a time, 1 minute at a time. But that's my That's kind of how I've been dealing with grief the past few years.
Honestly, I can't wait to read that. That's going to be
Yes.
amazing. And, there's so much to be said about grief and how it changes you.
Yep.
You and I have talked about this, at length,
Yes.
because when I lost my grandmother, it
Mm.
kind of propelled me to do the same thing. I'd spent so many years of my life where it was all about my husband and my children. That was it, period, point blank. I don't care what you got going on. I don't care what you asked me to do. The answer is probably no, because I'm doing something for my kids and for my husband, for my family.
Right.
But I was neglecting myself in the process. So as much as I love them, I wasn't taking care of me. And that is something that I did witness my grandmother. My grandmother gave so much of herself that I don't feel like she actually lived the way she wanted to and experienced some of the things, because she was so busy giving to everyone else that when she left here, she was tired.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know that she wouldn't want that for me. And I know that the grief that I felt, I'm a completely different person than I was before I lost her. Like, I have
Definitely.
people who have known me my entire life that are like, are you okay? Because you're so different. I have never been better. And it's because that grief gave me so much clarity. And it
Yes.
gave me the permission that I don't know who I was waiting for to give it to me. It gave me the permission to say, no, I can't. I won't. I do not have the capacity. I have to just take care of me. And I thank God for my therapist, because she was the bomb. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
That
Yes.
woman, if it wasn't for her, I am not sure that I would have made it through that portion. And she said, when you come out on the other side of this, you will know you can get through anything. And she said, it's going to be okay. I know it doesn't feel like it right now, because we would do it through Skype and Zoom.
Right.
I would just sit there and cry for an hour straight, say no words, just cry, tears streaming, ugly cry, using up a whole box of tissues, y'all. Like, listen, because grief is a beast.
Yes.
And the worst thing you can do is to try to just act like it's not happening, like you said, like just like go through your day, because that's how I began missing time, because I was not checked in. I wasn't doing the inventory. I was just getting up, and whatever happened, I don't even know.
Right.
Like, there are
Like
still
letting life take you. It was like you weren't even doing life. Life was
Yeah.
doing you. It was just like coming at you. No organization, nothing. Just putting out
Free
fires
fall.
all day versus,
It was just an absolute free fall. And I had to learn to be okay with that, because prior to that, I was always the organized, always on point, da 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 da. But then it became a free fall when I lost her, and I had to be okay with that. And girl, listen, I'm over here and I love it over here. So y'all do what y'all want. I don't feel good. I'm going upstairs.
Right.
And I think that a lot of that does have to do with our human design and how we are made. And people do not understand that. So can you please bless the audience and tell them exactly what human design is?
Yes. So human design is a combination of astrology, chakras, and kind of different paradigms to really give you a chart that shows you who you were created to be. What plight in life that you're meant to have, right? I just did a reading, for example. I have someone where her plight is falling out of Eden, right? If you can imagine falling out of Eden, and then her life purpose is to find a slice of Eden and what her personal paradise is supposed to look like. And she's also supposed to teach others. So imagine running a business and not knowing. That is such a powerful plight in life. Not that it has to be heavy, but to say that all the things that you went through to find joy, to fight your way to joy, you can now turn around and teach other people. And that's what's going to set your timeline on fire. But yeah, so your chart really shows me when I do the reading what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. Both are important because we're all work in progress. But the way that I use it is the strengths, we're able to create a marketing plan around your strengths, around your, some of them are conscious, some of them are unconscious. Some of them we've been sitting on for a while, like Karina and I spoke about earlier in the podcast, right? We've been sitting on them. We know we're really good teachers, or we know we're really good public speakers, but we've always been too afraid. So some of them are conscious and some of them are unconscious, right? And so where the weaknesses come in is that's where I'm talking to your inner child. That's where I'm going to war for you. I'm like, okay, you know, it's like, oh, well, maybe I should price it at the, no. We're not, this is the big one. We're about to do our big one. We're not doing small. We're not doing invisible. I understand. I fell in love with being invisible. I fell in love with people not noticing me or not valuing me. I get it. I know your inner child's coming out and she's scared, and I get it. Not today. We're shifting this. Even if you have to work on it for the next year with a therapist, if you have to leave this, if you have to leave this session and do the work outside, we are going to set the tone today. And so my story very quickly with human design is I was running my business all the way wrong, burning myself out on Clubhouse. But luckily I met Karina there. I met, a few other ladies that I love in business. I do different events and stuff with them. So that was a blessing. But I was stretching myself out too thin. And so as a projector, we're not really built for 16-hour days. We can, and we have usually, because that's what the world says. You're valuable if you work the most. But it was burning me out to the point where I had to stop my business. And I know a lot of people get there because you just hit a wall. And so for me, when I uncovered human design and started learning about it, I realized, I'm supposed to wait for the invitation, almost like a feminine energy of when I work on myself, I then attract the people that I want to be around and I want to be like, and that I want to celebrate and want to celebrate me. And so as I started living out my human design, things started flowing. I started having a greater amount of faith, right? That things are coming to me and that I'm going to decondition from this toxic way I used to live. Because the quick story is, for me, prior to grief, I was working, distracting myself with any little thing that could possibly distract me as to where my life was. Grief hit, I couldn't do anything. And it changed me. It allowed me to say, maybe you were doing way too much, because sometimes I look back like the toxic side of me and be like, I used to be so productive. Were you? Were you productive when you were so exhausted, after work, and you'd drink a bottle of wine or try to just avoid your ex? Was that really productive, or were you hiding? Were you escaping through work? Were you addicted to working? Is that the only identity you had, was overworking? So now I'm just so happy, because there's different profile types. So Karina and I are both projectors, but there's also generators who do have those adrenal pulses. Their root center or root chakra, for people that know chakras, very similar. They can do the work, but my place in their life is very much about, is this really the marketing campaign for you? Are you just putting work? Are you just putting homework in front of you? If only 2 of these things have worked in your business for marketing and they are a guaranteed return, what are these other 12 things that you keep trying to bring into the session? You keep trying to find things to do, right? So human design really uncovers who you were born to be, things that bring you joy, the best way to market, and even just relate to people. Like, people take it to their partner and they have better conversations with their partner of, there's sometimes I need to be alone because your energy is a lot for me at night, and then I can't sleep at night, and then I'm tired with the kids. And when you're aware of how your body interacts, how your body determines versus what your mind is saying to you, the negative things your mind is saying, when your body decides, I want to get up on that stage and I want to talk. Versus your mind, like, oh my gosh, there's going to be 500 people. Your body's like, but you were built for this and it's the perfect topic and I could speak for hours about it. So those are some of the benefits of human design is really allowing you to be the chief decision maker in your life, whatever your lifestyle is, and to make the shifts that are healthier for you. Not just mental health wise, but like physical wellness. Like I'm not stressed about things I used to be stressed about. I don't, attack myself because I'm not online as much as my manifesting generator best friend, business bestie, TC. I know Karina, you know her. She's
Yes,
online
girl,
24/8.
girl.
She's online 365. And so
I
the
ain't got
beauty
it.
though, I got it. Get somebody else to do it. And the thing is that so we have LinkedIn audio rooms every Saturday. And the beauty is that we are so different in how we do business, but we're
Hmm.
both successful. So we come together and that's why it's also great to do human design, because you can find your other half
Yeah,
that's able to showcase to the audience. Maybe you're more like a generator, a manifesting generator, or maybe you're more like a projector. They both can be successful. But if I try to do what she tries to do, doing different trainings all month, and I would literally have to quit business.
yes,
I would be on my wit's end. You would have to check me in somewhere because I would be fried. And if she tried to do deep focus work like a projector, it would bore her to tears.
yes,
Whereas we're like, yes, I want to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and until I get better and those deep relationships. It would bore her to tears. Like she would just be
yeah.
so. Anyways,
Awesome.
those are the benefits, definitely, of human design, is just learning how you operate and connect with the right people.
Yeah, I love TC. I absolutely
I
love her.
love TC
I
too.
love her energy, but
Yeah.
I ain't
And
got
we need her energy,
yes.
because we don't have, like, to be able to borrow from someone like her, just
Hmm.
seeing her content or being in her energetic field, going in a clubhouse room and just okay, I have to write a blog. Go into one of her rooms and to feel the aura coming out of her throat chakra, her throat center. Okay, I'm going to go write a blog. I'm going to go, you can
Yeah,
borrow from other people's
yes,
energy, and then they borrow clarity from us. They need, because
yes.
they can go, but where are we going? So,
Yes. And this is the one thing I remember, guys, when Erin did my reading, I was
mhm.
looking forward to it. I was. It was funny because I remember when she emailed me and she asked me for certain details about me to be able to do it. I said, okay, now wait a minute, girl. The cybersecurity part of me is like, why you need
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
But
I
when
mean, just
she gave me my human design reading, it was so on point and it made so many things make sense, because just as Erin has described, I spent so many years of my life just doing the most, all kinds of unproductive foolishness, but to
right.
other people on the outside looking in, oh yeah, I was productive, I was doing the thing, but I really wasn't getting anything done. I was just busy. There's a big difference between being busy and being productive. And for me, I am also an empath. So I absorb other people's emotions so easily and so deeply. I feel them on such a deep level that exhausts me. It positively exhausts me. So social media for us projectors is going to exhaust us completely. So that's why it's important to have someone like Erin to help you, like, kind of define who you are and what you're really supposed to be doing. So I have a question, like you touched on it a few moments ago. How do you think human design plays and helps people to improve their overall health and wellness?
Yeah. So, the different centers are, like I said, very similar to the chakras. So for example, your spleen center. So that's very much about your intuition and fear. But if you're because of trauma or whatever has happened in your life, you don't trust yourself, that can start to damage your body. Like you can physically feel,
Yep.
and I'm sure for people that struggle with anxiety like I do, right? there is this feeling in your stomach or different places in your body
Yeah.
where it shows up, where because you don't trust yourself or you don't trust the environment, right? And so as you start tuning into your body and letting your central nervous system cool off, right? As you start working through a lot of different things, your body starts changing. Your diet can even change through human design. Like it's
Mhm.
telling you, if you have a closed taste or if you are meant to eat at night. Like
Yeah.
for me, my body runs hot, and somehow human design knew that. Like whatever. So for me, it's important if I'm trying to stabilize, if I feel in a flurry, to eat cold food. So yogurts, cold sandwiches, and that balances me back. And so I already feel relaxed. Smoothies, different things like that. That doesn't mean I have to live on smoothies for the rest of my life.
Right.
I can eat hot food, but it's just being in balance. So that's really the wellness part, is that when we are out of balance in our body due to stress, due to insecurities, it impacts our physical wellness. And so when we get back aligned, and especially our schedule in our life, right? Like learning as a projector, I can't do all the things. Imagine
Mhm.
what returning to your body and letting your body tell you it's time to rest, it's time to eat, it's time to take a break, step outside, get some sun. Like I feel healthier than I've ever been. I don't eat the healthiest food all the time, but like the balance that I have, the connection I have with nature really helps me physically as well. So that's what I would say for shifting through human design.
Yeah, I love that. And it seems like, especially as an entrepreneur,
Mm,
yeah, all right. A lot of y'all don't know that I am a travel agent, right? And so, like, being a travel agent isn't something as simple as, oh, okay, I want to go here, and I just go online like we would do if we were going on Hopper or
yeah.
Expedia. It's so much more in depth because I create experiences, not just
Hmm.
you're going to take a trip, I'm going to book the trip, and you go on about your business. No, this is a whole experience that I'm creating for you. And so it
Hmm.
takes a lot of work, and I'm dealing with a lot of different personalities throughout the day. And so, and add in marketing and branding and all the things. Most of us as entrepreneurs are one person parties. Okay. We are doing all the things ourselves. And so it is easy to get tapped out. And as a projector, I cannot I can't do all of that. Like I literally have a written schedule for myself where I'm like, I'm going to have my schedule here. However, if my body says something different, I'm going to listen.
Hmm.
And so when you are talking with your client or prospective clients, um, how do they feel about you using human design to help them? Because I know most people are like, well, what does this have to do with a
What
business?
is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So because of my content, they have a good idea, but there's still some questions. And because as you know, with projectors, we can feel people's energy from when they come on the Zoom. Like even
Yep.
before the Zoom, what time do they come on the Zoom? Like we just intuitively have this deep connection with people. So I get a mix of extreme excitement to hesitation, and I'm like, but you already paid me, so like, there's still some hesitation of like, is this girl for real? And then by the end, of course, they're like, no, she was built for this. Like she got the story. She
Yeah.
she knew almost what I was thinking. She read into my chart. It's making sense. But yeah, some people are extremely excited because they've tried everything else and it didn't work. They've tried different coaching programs and felt rushed or felt like they had to niche down for my manifesting generators. They felt like they had to put all of their eggs in one basket when they're really built to have different interests in different projects. They
Hmm.
have the, root chakra that is like rolling around and allowing them to do so much work. Um, so it's a mix, definitely excitement, sometimes nerves. Because like I was talking about earlier, there will be some discussion about inner child or insecurities. There will be tears sometimes, and I welcome those tears. Like I said, I
Mm,
have the mental health background, honey. They aren't a story that I haven't heard. There,
yeah.
you will not overwhelm me with your story. You will not scare me with your tears. I'm also a Cancer sign. I am so prepared. God has prepared me so deeply for so many years for this
Mm,
space. And so I welcome the tears, because what I've learned is on the other side of tears is a breakthrough,
yeah.
um, a deep breakthrough that's been waiting for you to get there. So it's a mix.
Yeah.
It's always different. It depends on the person.
So, is this something that you would definitely recommend, whether somebody does it with you or whether they're like saying, hey, because I know a lot of people that are in my age group. I ain't telling you how old I am. Okay. So,
No,
but
well, it'll
anyway,
be a mystery.
but
Yeah.
I am a woman of a certain age. I have grandchildren. And, many people, I was talking to my financial advisor yesterday, and many people, when they retire, they do start businesses. So, is something like human design, would you suggest that for everyone who is considering starting a business?
Mm. So I will say this, even though in my mind, I think, because when you do something, you're like, everybody should start a business, everybody should, right? But like being aware of the impact and having done a certain amount of readings, I personally feel, because human design reading, I do the reading. You don't have to have a business for me to do the reading.
Okay.
I've had people come to me where they were taking another step in their professional career, and they were tired of feeling insecure every time they were promoted, every
Mm,
time they were suggested. They were like, everything just aligns, but I don't believe it. Back to manifestation. Things are showing up for me, but I don't feel I deserve it. Can we please dig into my human design and figure out where the insecurity lies and what's going on, so I can lean on my strengths and remember who I am? Um, so I would say, if you are someone that is wanting that extra confirmation that you are as powerful as you deeply are, whether it's in business or your career, maybe you are in corporate and you're just wanting that edge, that extra edge, you know, definitely coming to me, we can do a reading. And then on the business side, it really clears up. I found, and all of the people that have come to me have found, it really clears up. It allows you to get rid of all the stuff that doesn't belong in your business. So like
mm,
offers that aren't selling, that you really don't like, but people bought it a few times, so you just keep it around. You can get rid of that, or we can reshape that, right? To make it feel good and position it in a way that speaks to your strengths in your chart. So for people that are just really struggling, they feel like, I kind of get it, but it's not hitting. There's something missing. They can come get a reading and find out what's missing, what they're not focused on enough. So I would say, whether you are going into another season of your life or another season of your business.
I kind of feel like that we all kind of have this little internal thing that kind of tugs at us anyway, that
Mm-hmm.
tells us, this ain't right, but we don't necessarily,
Right.
sometimes we don't listen to it, and we also don't even know what to do next. So we're like, okay, this ain't right, but what am I supposed to be doing then? Like,
Right. Right.
so
Well,
I feel
yeah.
like human design definitely helps to give you clarity. That human design reading will give you so
Yes.
much clarity on what you are supposed to be doing, what's really going to feed your soul.
Right, right, right. Because I think it's especially Black women, I feel like we're so disconnected. Like
Hmm.
our minds are so disconnected from our bodies. And that's taught to us from such a young age,
Yes.
that, you know, it's like your body is bad and you have to protect yourself from men, and you have to wear things in school that cover your shoulders because your body is bad, even though it's really, he should be learning at his house that he shouldn't be touching women like that, and he
Right.
shouldn't be talking to me like that. And it's this thought that we are delusional as women, and that we have to cater to every other person, whereas human design allows you to return to yourself, to your body, to your intuition, which is like our greatest gift. And this world tries to stifle our intuition so
Hmm.
much. So I think that's really in human design, it's bringing everything back together and aligning them,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that is life changing. Like that is something you
Indeed.
can take and use for the rest of your life in every area, every corner, every crevice of your lifestyle. You can look up and be like, how do I actually feel about this? Right? Like, how do I feel that I asked them to do my steak medium well and they did it like this? How do I feel about this?
Yeah.
Am I okay with this?
Yeah.
Should I open my throat chakra and say something? Is this something that bothers me? And really be able to respond and not have to ask everyone around you, well, what would you? It's not about what your friend would do. How do you feel? If
Right.
you need a new steak, you deserve a new steak. You asked for this and they gave you that, and that's okay. You don't have to be rude about it, but you deserve what you asked for and what you're paying $20, $30, $40, $50, $60 for or more. So
Yeah. And I
yeah.
love that you touched on the throat chakra. As a matter of fact, I have an episode that I aired, I think it was this week. As a matter of fact,
Mhm.
again, by the time we air this, it's going to be so in
Yeah.
July.
Yes.
July, I did do an episode with a young lady named Sarah Bright, and we discussed the chakras and we discussed some of the symptoms that your chakras are blocked or closed. And, definitely. And I like that you also touched on the fact that, you don't have to be rude. So, and nobody's saying go angry Black woman on anybody. Okay.
No.
Nobody's saying you got to be yelling, screaming, cussing, neck rolling, head bobbing all over the place.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying you have to do any of that. There is a way that you can just address an issue. And I can promise you'll feel better, because if you walk away and you let that slide, you're going to let this slide and then this slide and then that slide, and it'll continue to
Talk
build.
to them, Karina. Talk to
It'll
them.
build. Girl, I'm telling you, it'll build. And next thing you know, somebody in the grocery store who did something simple as didn't give you correct change is catching all the fury and all the hell for everybody else, for all the other little things that you did not address. That's a part of having a open throat chakra. Throat chakra is responsible for your communication. Open your mouth. Speak your truth, sis.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it at all. So,
Yeah.
Erin, tell the audience how they can reach out to you, where they can find you if they want to work with you and get into this human design.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a few packages, and they're listed on my website, www.melaninerinmarketing.com. And I have the simple human design reading. So that's anyone that is wanting a reading, whether you have a business or not. So that's on there. I also have the blend of human design and marketing. So people that are like, I want a clear understanding of what's going wrong with my marketing. I want the reading, but I also want the marketing sense. So that's kind of the middle tier package that's on there. And then I have kind of the everything package, where like Melanin brand design, that is very much about and that is 8 weeks, and we work together through that. And we really come up with a dope brand guide. After your reading, we go through target audience, we go through the transformation of your services, really blending in the human design in there so that you can be a chief storyteller, so that you can reshape how you talk to your audience, how you attract, how you become magnetic and really set your timeline on fire. And so that is kind of the everything package. So you can get that on there. But yeah, there is an application form, and I can give that to Karina and you can fill it out. I'll check it and then we'll go from there. But yes, I love what I do. I'm sorry, I had to say that. I am a human design and marketing nerd. Like, I talk to people all day, my friends, even my mom, who doesn't even know about business, all day. Obsessed.
That sounds like me in travel and wellness. Like, those are my two babies. And like mixing those two together, it has been life-changing. And that's the point of what we're talking about in this episode, guys, about finding what sets you on fire, what feeds your soul, what makes you happy, which you can do it all day and it doesn't feel like work. So I'm always doing something travel, researching some more travel, researching my wellness. Like I'm always trying to know all of the things so that I can best serve my clients, those who come to me. And so it's just, yeah, it's just a yummy little cocktail that you get together when you find what really truly fits you. So y'all, thanks again for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, share it on social media or leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also find all the details and links that we discussed in this episode in the show notes. And to catch all the latest from the show, you can go to the website, themelaninwellnesspodcast.com, and join the mailing list or leave me a voicemail about this episode. Your voicemail or question may be featured in a future episode. You never know. Thanks again, family, and I will see you next time. Until then, stay well.